What's up, everybody? This is the Reachin and Teachin podcast. We have a special guest here. His name is Koustics. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Jadd. How you doing?
I'm doing good. We got a lot of interesting things to talk about today. So you know, a little backstory. We went to Evo this year for the first time. And it was actually an incredible event. At least for us, it was an incredible event. I know on your side, you were on the other side of it.
I was behind the curtains. I was the Wizard of Oz, making things happen backstage. It was my first Evo too as well. So it was an amazing moment. You know, it's like a culmination of a lot of the work I've done, kind of getting to like the big stage, kind of like our Super Bowl for fighting games. And it was great.
Yeah, and Vegas is a fun spot. Vegas is a great spot to have a world-class event like Evo.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's a great spot.
Yeah,
make sure y'all go to Vegas if y'all can.
Yeah. Now tell us. So give us kind of the origin story of how you got into broadcasting and the evolution from beginning to being at Evo.
Funny enough, now we're here at Microsoft NYC. This is actually one of the first places where I got my start. When I was working security when I was way younger, probably like 17, 18, I needed time between shifts because sometimes I would work and then I'd have only like 2 to 3 hours between the shifts, but I wanted to burn some time, or like I was just stuck here in Manhattan and I didn't want to go all the way back home to Brooklyn before another shift. So I like was looking up just like stuff to do. And I liked video games, I liked fighting games, and then suddenly I found out about Microsoft and they had competitive tournaments. So some of my first like tournaments I went to was here at this store. And I would go from work straight to a tournament. And then of course, I was beginner level, so I got trashed at my very first. And I'm like, man, this fighting game stuff is kind of fun. You know, I kind of want to keep winning, though. Like, I don't want to keep losing. And I kind of delved deeper into the fighting game scene, and I kind of like learned about everything they had to offer in New York. There's a ton of different like locals and scenes here in New York in general. So I spent my time learning about where to go, and I kind of just kept going and then growing myself in the scene. And I'm a trash talker.
This, getting the kill.
What did y'all think? Y'all thought y'all trash commentators from overseas could with me?
Oh no.
What? Send them your next man, bro. Send them your next man. Send them your next man. Y'all done. You're done. You're done. Good games. It's like y'all lied. It wasn't good games.
I'm a bit of a trash talker. So, guys are playing their sets and I'm talking behind them. I'm like, yo, you getting mobbed. You getting cooked. You need a block. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, someone's like, yo, he's kind of funny. Give him a try on the mic real quick. And then I ended up doing commentary for like one of the first times over at like it's a tournament called Next Level Battle Circuit over in like Brooklyn. I tried them out. And then I met up with probably one of the greatest people in my life. Shouts to my man Jonathan Farley, aka Bum 163. I met him at his crib in the Bronx, where he hosts a tournament outside of his apartment. Just out of his apartment, he hosts a tournament. And I started going over and over, and then he let me do commentary over there. And he kind of just kept letting me do commentary, and then over time, people kind of started noticing my name, my style. And from there, Koustics just grew, it became a brand name. A couple of funny moments go viral on the internet. Then all of a sudden, people were like reaching out like, hey, you were trying to do commentary at more events? And like, it's a simple start, but like there's so much that goes into it that it's hard to just pinpoint an exact moment of origin, but yeah.
So as far as games and titles go, like how'd you figure out which games that you want to kind of go into and really put your effort towards?
I definitely based off what I enjoyed, because my first competitive game wasn't even, most people know me for Dragon Ball FighterZ. My first competitive game wasn't even Dragon Ball FighterZ. It was a game called For Honor. And I used to play that game religiously. And then, of course, as do a lot of games, they kind of like the tournament scene might die out or slow down in a little bit. Dragon Ball came out. I'm like, you know what? I love the Dragon Ball anime. let me try the game when it comes out. It comes out. There's tournaments for it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to these tournaments, see what's up. And I just kind of fell in love with it, you know? I think like one of the most major pieces of determining how much you can commit to something is like how much time can you spend without like getting sick of it.
So as far as your own unique style, so, you know, how did you come about what you were going to do? And did you find that like early on you did things that you wouldn't do now, or have you kind of just stayed the same throughout the journey?
Anyone who's watched me knows my style is definitely how close can he get to the edge without being fired.
That's what I would go for if I was Brett here.
Oh yeah. Oh, try to lick the cat, but it stinks.
He jumps in there. Oh my gosh, bro, dude really said that.
When I first started, of course, there's no rules. When you're in your friend's house or something like that, there's no rules on what's being said. So of course, the beginning of my career definitely would not recognize where I am right now. I still keep that style. I grew up on like the Four Kings of Comedy. I grew up, you know, in a house full of humor. So like jokes like that are kind of what I built my style off of. Of course, like I've learned over time that like I can add an analytical side to my commentary. I've definitely improved on like how well I speak, my vernacular and everything. That's kind of something that I've learned going on and gathering more experience. But I still never forget that part of me. That part of me, if you watch my commentary, you still know we out there pushing the line no matter what.
So obviously we're talking a lot about the commentary side of things. What about the actual play?
Play? Oh, all right. I was a gorilla. I'm not gonna lie. I was definitely hitting buttons when I first started. Part of it, I used to what they call play by feeling. So I was like, what, math, numbers? Man, I'm only unsafe if I feel like it, you know? But then over time, I think learning commentary kind of influenced the way I played. Because of course, like you could play off of recognition for only so long until you reach a certain level where like knowledge of the game is necessary, and it's the same for commentary. I noticed knowledge was necessary to kind of get stronger in those areas, and I definitely think like me from right now would wax me from back then. 100, I would not stand a chance. I would lose every single game. 100.
Yeah. Stand still. Please, someone clip that.
So when you think about your evolution from commentary and from playing, what do you think helped you the most? Was it actually watching higher level and figuring out what they're doing and how to comment on them? Was it the evolution of your play style changing? Like, what do you think was the combination or kind of the balance between the play, the analytics side of things and the commentary? Like where do you feel it kind of stacked up and ranked up in the mix of things?
I think number one was definitely getting better as a player. Helped me so much in my commentary. I've always had a gift for speaking to people. Like speech has never been a problem with me, communicating with people, even making people feel comfortable around me. I always felt I was like a natural conversationalist. So what became more important for my growth wasn't like the matter of speaking. It was the matter of converting knowledge into something more fundamental for myself. So as I grew and learned more about the game, I kind of like grew and learned more as a commentator.
I don't know who you thought I was, coach, but I'm still a man. I'm still a man.
Let's go back to Evo a little bit. When you're commentating and you see some of the play styles and you see guys emerging, do you kind of take a step back and wonder like, how the heck did they figure this out? Like how are these combos hitting? Like where did this come from?
Now it's funny because like New York is one of the most blessed places to be a gamer in because we have some of like the best people in the world here. Like almost for any game, if you come to New York, you can find someone within the top 200, top 100 of something in here, which is why I love this place, right? And for Evo, it was funny because a lot of these guys I'd already met. In New York ended up being grand finals of Evo. I've commentated those two guys playing like many times. So it in some areas it's good because I got to see some players I haven't seen before. At the same time, it's like I've got to be blessed to experience some very high level gameplay here. And not to brag on myself, but I was kind of nasty when I was still playing too. So it wasn't too much of a surprise. I was like, I could do that if I practiced it a little bit more. But no, there are some guys who are like amazing who come from overseas to Evo, and I got to see them work, and I'm like, wow, this is absolutely amazing what they're pulling out. And some of it's stuff you don't see because in certain scenes you'll notice that like people gravitate to certain characters in certain scenes. So the way we play here in New York and America is different than you'll see a guy from Europe or even Germany, France, or them play. And kind of noticing those differences was just amazing.
The timeline has been restored.
No, I'm popping off.
You're popping off?
Yeah, you're garbage.
You're like, I'm that much better?
You got hit with a handicap and still lost? Oh, and it begins.
It's like the feeling when Nitro got hit by the Chun-Li taunt.
And obviously playing the game and being a fan of the game, it kind of makes the balance, from a commentating standpoint, a little bit easier, right? Because when moves are pulled off or when comebacks happen, the excitement that you have because what's going on, right? For me, Street Fighter 6, the grand finals, watching Mena come back in the grand finals and reset the bracket.
That's amazing.
He does a challenge, he baits the throw. Mena with the hit, the perfect knuckle. It's enough. We've got a reset. And that's what I like to see.
For me, as this was my first introduction to fighting games, so I didn't really have much background. So for me, the whole weekend was an incredible experience. Started off with seeing the finals for Dragon Ball, and then seeing what that looked like, seeing what the celebration on stage, the just jumping up, the excitement, and then jumping into the crowd. I mean, I was taken back. I'm like, let's see what tomorrow looks like, right? In the stadium, right? And watching that and being an athlete and being a fan of sports, that's the stuff that I think we get excited about. And I think from a commentary standpoint, like I think that's where I think the excitement and the dedication to being a fan, but also to being a player, I think that's where all of it comes through. And I think, for a lot of the kids that don't know about, that don't think that they could be a commentator, right? That don't know about shoutcasting and broadcasting. I think this is really where we want to give them the opportunity to say, like, here it is. You don't have to be the best at the game. You could hit a peak, right? You could hit a certain level and say, that's it for me. Now here's another direction to still stay involved. So I think that's where it's exciting to see your background, to see your experience, to see your growth, both as a player and from the commentary standpoint. It's really, really exciting. As far as Evo goes, what was your most memorable moment from the event itself?
I think my most memorable moment, and this is going to sound corny or weird to some people, for me is literally just like walking into Evo for the first time with a badge on me that says talent. Like, to me, that was like the most insane moment for me. Because of course I spent my childhood watching fighting games, right? Like everyone knows about Marvel vs. Capcom here in New York and everything. And like I was never too into them, but like I knew about things like Evo and everything. So for me to like reach a point where like I could say, yeah, they flew me out here to commentate Evo is just like, it's changing.
So having that type of moment, when you look back at your career, right? How do you kind of look back and see the balancing act between the comedic side and maybe being a little rough around the edges in the beginning to seeing the evolution to where you are now today, being a professional, having that badge saying talent, being out on the big stage. How do you feel you've kind of progressed from that standpoint? And what do you think is like your motivation for moving forward?
So when I first began, I definitely focused heavily on comedy, providing energy, and just being who I was, right? And I've never stopped being who I was during commentary. Anyone could tell you that. But it's the idea that I've managed to go from just chaos to organized chaos. That is my brand now. Organized chaos. And I think that just was so good for me. Was just like learning, all right, what's the time that I can kind of work with commentators. One of like the things that people don't realize is like you have to be able to work with someone on shoutcasting. You can't just scream over them. And I was doing that when I first began. I was very, very loud, very powerful, and not everybody was able to keep up with the same energy. So learning to like balance out my energy level with my co-commentator and work on like synergy was kind of what helped me. And I think just like working on styles like that going forward just kind of was going to help me just keep growing as a commentator.
Awesome. As far as what, other games and other titles that you may have interest in moving forward, are you sticking just in the fighting games? Do you have interest in other titles? What does that look like for you?
I mean, to be honest, I have an interest in everything. I still every now and then check out 2K in the 2K League. Those were another games that I started off early playing. I've even played in some of the tournaments organized by the Brooklyn Nets. 2K has always been an interest. Overwatch 2, I've spent some time commentating for Esports U, for them. Super Smash Brothers, funny enough, I've almost spent as much time as I have commentating Dragon Ball, commentating Smash here in New York, and I still jump on the mic every now and then. League of Legends is probably another thing that I'm looking to get into. I started playing a lot more recently in the last 2 years. And I'm Emerald now, not too bad, you know what I'm saying, for someone who recent pickup. I've even commentated for SUNY Esports when they had their finals. So I've done Call of Duty. I've done Warzone for them. We even did a little bit of Rocket League. So I'm well versed. I'm willing to jump into anything. So
awesome. No, that's great. And as far as kind of the last thing that we want to wrap up with is, with everything that's going on in terms of opportunities, right? What do you feel as the space is evolving, as the space is growing? How do you see the future and what opportunities that exist out there, and what do you envision it looking like, for people that are trying to get into the space, and then also for talent like you that are already established that are looking to take that next step?
I think taking the next step is a matter of dedication. It's a matter of how much time are you willing to fully put in into not just the community, but also into yourself, to growing your brand, dedicating yourself to making an image. And people hate this word, but networking. Going out to meet people. I met you over at a Capcom party. So it's a matter of putting yourself out there. I think is important, and this goes for all level of people, right? Even when you're just beginning, I put myself out there just by going to tournaments and just being a nuisance, and sometimes that's a way to get in. So I'd say it's just for me, looking to go for that next step is kind of like sitting down and fully committing onto building, I guess, the Koustics empire, so to speak. Now.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll see you again. I guess in August, right? Is the next Evo? Hopefully.
You'll see me then. Maybe in the next August. But coming up, we have DreamHack Atlanta, and I'm going to be out there as one of their content creators.
Awesome.
So you guys will be seeing me on the floor doing a bunch of cool stuff with them as well.
Awesome. Great. All right. Well, that's it for us today. Thanks a lot for coming out. Thanks for taking the time, and hope you guys enjoy.
Hey.